Hey, everybody. Thanks for being with us for the pre-show to the 10th Annual New York Game Awards. I'm Sumit Sarkar from Polygon, and I'm glad you're here with us to celebrate what was a wonderful year in video games, if nowhere else. I have an all-star panel of guests here to discuss 2020, and very excited to introduce them all, so let's get right to it. First up, we have Cherie L. Smith, the editor-in-chief of Laptop Mag.
Hey, guys. Glad to be here.
And then next up is Dan Ackerman, the senior managing editor at CNET.
Hey, what's going on?
And then third is Christopher Bird from the Washington Post.
Hello, good to be here.
And finally, we have a very special guest, the most special guest, our co-founder, or founder, excuse me, of the New York Videogame Critics Circle, Harold Goldberg.
Hey, Sumit, how goes it?
It's great. I'm really excited to get into it. And talk about 2020 in games with everybody. So I'll start with you, Harold. Obviously, it was a year where people wanted to kind of get away. They were forced to be inside, and a lot of people turned to video games. So for you, was there a particular game that you went to, your go-to thing for trying to unwind?
Yeah, and it's hard for me to pick one, but there were three. There was Animal Crossing: New Horizons. There was Last of Us 2, and finally there was Hades, which I just could not stop playing. It was just so well balanced. Everything in that game seemed to just shine with polish and beauty and good writing and nice artwork and good acting and music. It was just a real package, in my humble opinion.
I think that you will find many people who agree with you. Let's see if we got some more on this panel. Well, same question to you, Cherie. I'm curious if there was, one thing or a couple of things that you really kept returning to in 2020.
All right. So for multiplayer, definitely Among Us and Jackbox. A lot of Jackbox. When it was me by myself, Hades took up a lot of time this year, and it was time well spent. Ghost of Tsushima, beautiful game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, the game I didn't know I needed and wanted. And of course, Last of Us 2.
Yeah, definitely some great games there. And I think Jackbox was a big hit for a lot of people trying to get that party atmosphere and that human connection that we so sorely needed last year. Next, I'll go to Dan. For you, I'm wondering if if you've got kids, if there's something that you played with them, or that you maybe played when they went to bed.
No, it's interesting. The big kid game, at least in my neck of the woods, among 9-year-olds, give or take a few years in Brooklyn, has been surprisingly not Fortnite, although that's probably number 2 or 3. Number 1 is definitely Roblox, which has eclipsed Minecraft, eclipsed Fortnite, everything else, because it's such a wide open platform, and you end up with kids who are preteens and saying, yeah, listen, I know you got a PS5 already, but graphics are not everything. It's all about the gameplay and the fun and the community, and it's a very mature attitude for young kids to have. They're really into the community of it, the replacing the in-person interactions, and the fact that Roblox is more of a platform even than a game system, and it's all about people making their own stuff, and everything is unpolished. And despite how unpolished it is, big business ends up getting in there because there are a lot of movies and other big culture events that sponsored Roblox games. So if you ask me what the big surprise hit of the year was, who benefited the most from our crazy 2020 besides Zoom, I'd say number 2 is going to be Roblox.
Let's go to Christopher Bird. So for you, looking back on 2020, what was kind of your fondest gaming experiences of the year, maybe?
Well, I'd say certainly The Last of Us Part 2, probably because I catered to my own personal aesthetics, in the sense that I'm always looking for games that subvert expectations and that challenge the audience. And if you look at something like The Last of Us 2, I mean, ostensibly, this was a game where you play as Ellie, one of the most beloved video game characters of all time. And the fact that the developers dared to make a game where you only play for Ellie half of the time, and you actually play as her antagonist. This was something I had never seen before in video games, and I thought that was really interesting. The other game that immediately leaps to mind, of course, would be Half-Life Alyx, because if I wanted to feel purely transported into another world, I think that Alyx got the job done. It's the best VR game I've ever played.
Well,
that's really impressive, and we certainly covered a lot of ground there. I want to, now get to the nominees for our Big Apple Award for best game, and I think we've covered a bunch of them, but I'm kind of curious to dive into that a little bit. So the nominees that we have are Animal Crossing: New Horizons, of course, the game of the pandemic, The Last of Us Part 2, as a lot of you've touched on, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Doom Eternal, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Hades. So I want to go back to Cherie here. You mentioned a bunch of those games, and I'm not saying don't want to reveal any votes here. We've got the big award presentation in a little bit, but I'm curious for you. If which one really stood out to you? Which one maybe surprised you?
I guess I shouldn't be surprised to see Animal Crossing because everybody and their mama was playing it. I was not playing it. I do not believe in jumping into a game to pay rent to a landlord. I already do that in real life. I do not want to do that in my gaming life. So I'm just uncool that way. I wasn't with it. So I get why it's there. I just don't agree with it. Actually surprised about Yakuza Like a Dragon. But I also didn't get to touch it and get as far as I should have in it. So maybe I need to go revisit it after CES.
Okay, cool, fair. I mean, do we have any Yakuza diehards in here? I'm curious. I don't know. No one mentioned it so far.
Then how did it get on the list?
Honestly,
I didn't put it on the list.
So there was a group lobbying for Yakuza. We have a huge long list that we update over the course of the year for potential nominees, and as we whittled things down, a number of critics said you have to put Yakuza in there. So ultimately, that's how it got on the list. But I mean, there's some great stuff in the new Yakuza, a lot of new gameplay, so I understand the push for it.
Dan, for you,
hang on. What's really interesting to me is what is not on that list.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Gate, Miles Morales, I think Astro's Playroom or whatever it was called. Maybe Sackboy. There were so many really interesting things. And Doom Eternal is on there, which is fine, but it's the same as every other Doom game. I mean, come on. It's no VR games, right?
No, yeah.
Well, all right. Cherie, it sounds like you have thoughts.
I agree with the Astro's Playroom. I thought that I think it's the most innovative game of this new next generation. And I highly recommend anyone who gets a PS5, when you finally get your hands on your PS5, that is the first game that you need to play because it's already on the console.
Yeah.
Make that your first game. It will blow your mind. It will open and it just shows you everything that the DualSense controller can do. So you need to play that game first.
All right. I mean, well, looking at this, list of games, obviously we can only have so many nominees. There are plenty of games that are going to be left off that each of us loved in their own way. But we were talking a little bit about Astro's Playroom, which is a PS5 exclusive, and obviously 2020 was a wild year, and there were also 2 new video game consoles that launched. We had, I don't know, maybe 3 if you look at it in a certain light. There's the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and the Xbox Series S. Try to remember those names and keep them separate in your mind. But in general, for the opportunities that y'all have had so far with to mess around with the new consoles, what has stood out to you about not just the games but about the experience of using them, and do they really feel new or next generation, so to speak? I'll go to Dan first.
It's interesting because this really was a year that was more about hardware than software. We spent a lot of time this year waiting for these new consoles and doing all these previews. And when they landed, hardware, very impressive. Console hardware, of course, is sealed in a box and starts to age the moment you take it out of the box. And there's already new gaming, PC stuff coming out, at CES this month. But the game lineup really seemed very throwbackish in that there weren't enough new things ready yet. And the fact that Cyberpunk didn't have a optimized for next gen version, but some games like Watch Dogs, look fantastic, and a handful of, Astro's Playroom and Miles Morales, you can really see what they're doing there. But I think the biggest thing, and we talked about this a little before, is that DualSense controller. And what a big step forward that is compared to the Xbox controller, which is, the whole Xbox thing is just a mild step forward, whereas the PlayStation is a more expansive, risk-taking system. And, it's also easier for people to say PS5 than like Xbox Series X. There's not really a good abbreviation for it. And that's why it's more popular. It all comes down to what's easier to say.
Just, whatever rolls off the tongue. Christopher, I'm curious if you had the chance to spend time with the new consoles and maybe if there's, obviously it's way too early to get a sense of where this is going to go, but what your initial impressions were.
Well, I certainly like the operating system of the PlayStation 5, like everybody else. I like the responsiveness of it, the fact that games load up so quickly. But overall, to be honest with you, I was a little disheartened by the fact that for me, the most interesting game was Demon's Souls. Now, granted, I love that game very much, but I think it's also indicative of some of the bad trends, I would say, in the industry, which is, all we see are these reskin games. I mean, I'm looking forward to something that breaks new ground. I haven't seen that yet.
No, it's true. And I think, Harold, looking at kind of 2020 as a whole, we mentioned Cyberpunk earlier, and it seems like that really came in hot. And it seems like that was the case with a lot of games this year. A lot of things got delayed. I mentioned Halo earlier. Obviously, the pandemic had a major impact on game development. And, it kind of is amazing that the consoles both made it out in November, as Sony and Microsoft said they would, no?
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly surprised that they both came out early in the pandemic. My bet was that they would be delayed into 2021. So kudos to everyone who worked at home and got these systems out. I think I'm happy with both systems. I happened to see Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Xbox Series X and was kind of blown away with the visuals and stunned by them in certain cases, certainly in the first hour, with a great opening scene in Valhalla. It's pretty stunning to see on that system. I love the look of the PS5. I think it reminds me. Yeah. I mean, I think it reminds me in a way of a New York City skyscraper, but it is so big that I can't stand it vertically in my entertainment system. But I do like the look of it. I like I like the small things, like the way the light turns on, almost kind of like it's not neon, but kind of looks a little neon-ish when it comes on. So it does remind me of many eras of architecture. So that's what I like about the look of the PS5. I agree with Christopher in the sense that we don't have these awesome blow you away day one games. Often we don't in the history of consoles, but there's usually something there that is completely new, which is not to say I didn't like Spider-Man Miles Morales, which, one of our co-founders, Evan Narcissus, had a hand in writing. I thought the brightness of Harlem, certainly at the beginning, was really stunning and beautiful, and they captured the vibrance of one of our great New York communities. But I'm still waiting for like something really great to come out, and that may not happen till the end of 2021.
Yeah, we've got an exciting year ahead. I think we'll have to see how it goes. But Cherie, what about you? You mentioned Astro's Playroom earlier. Was there anything else on either of the new consoles that really stuck out to you?
Absolutely. Spider-Man Miles Morales. I lived in Spanish Harlem for 5 years. Loved every second of it, and I loved every second of Miles Morales. I loved the story beats. I love how they repurposed the Tinkerer. I love the storyline. I love how they meticulously treated Miles's hairline. That line was crisp. The hair texture was on point. The relationship between him and his father and Uncle Aaron and his it just hit a lot of beats that you want to have with Miles Morales. It was really cool being able to see him interact with Peter, even if it was a virtual form of Peter, and just seeing this new Spider-Man grow into the role.
Absolutely. I think that was a big hit with a lot of members of the circle. Obviously, we're the New York Video Game Critics Circle, and wonderful representation of the entire island of Manhattan in that game. Dan, thinking about the kind of console hardware and maybe where the machines and also the games pushed the industry forward, and how much things have changed since 2013 when those consoles launched. What's your impression of that?
It's so interesting because when you get into the second half of that console life cycle, about 7 years or so, as somebody who plays a lot of games, I start to shift more towards whatever the latest PC gaming hardware is, because it just becomes so much more powerful at that point. And the differences, even right now, when Cyberpunk looks terrible on consoles, but looks great on PCs. It's because of that. It's because of that real, hardware year after year upgrade. When you're locked into this, set-top box, that's not going to change. But what they did do well, both consoles, is they correctly anticipated a shift towards video streaming and getting all your platforms and all your services together on one box. And it could be a console box, it could be a Roku, it could be someone else, something else. But at the end of the day, it's everything in one box. And that's what my goodness, Microsoft and other, PC makers and technology companies tried for years to get you to put a PC in your living room. And it turns out Xbox One was what we needed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about the collection of software and services that you have now on both of the consoles that preceded the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and now certainly going forward, that's the norm. We have not talked a lot about the kind of mid cycle refreshes, but also the console that is different from the traditional ones, and that's the Nintendo Switch, which was this entirely new paradigm over the past decade. Very young console, obviously less than 4 years old at this point. But Harold, I'll kind of give you the last word on the Switch and maybe how that took a detour from what Sony and Microsoft are doing, and how that has maybe set a new path forward.
Yeah, well, the Switch, it seems to me to be like the progression of the Wii U, and the Wii U actually, in my mind, it certainly was a failure. In most people's mind, it was a failure. But the Switch was just so portable and almost lovable in its design that you really kind of wanted to like Nintendo even more after it was released. And folks did not like the Wii U. So seeing something like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is a stunning game for the Switch in every respect, from writing to the way it looked, to the characters you met, to surprises that you'd see along the way, that really was the standout game for the Nintendo Switch. But there were smaller games like ARMS that certainly when we go to mentor, kids love to play ARMS or Smash Brothers. So I think that Nintendo sometimes gets criticized for repurposing games and bringing us games back that we've all, as older critics, have already played. But when they do release something new, it's generally a pretty stunning experience. So, and you can really kind of almost put Switch in your back pocket, and riding the subway with the Switch up to the Bronx was always fun for me when we were still riding the subway more. So I think the Switch still in mid-cycle is a strong console.
Absolutely, and it'll be really interesting to see how Nintendo positions it as kind of Sony and Microsoft find their footing with the PS5 and Xbox Series X. But I think that's all the time we have. It's been a wild 2020, and 2021's had a wilder start so far. But in video games, at least, a lot to look forward to, as always. I want to thank our wonderful panelists, Harold Goldberg, Dan Ackerman, Cherie Smith, and Christopher Bird. And thank you all for watching. And we'll keep watching to see how the 10th Annual New York Game Awards turns out. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's Geoff Keighley, and welcome to the pre-show for the 10th New York Game Awards. It's such an honor to be here, to be a part of the show. Harold has done an incredible job in the circle over the past decade with these awards. Of course, normally I like to be in New York to be there for the live show this year. Because of the current state of the world, we're doing this virtually, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any less fun. Got an amazing show coming up, hosted by Harold and Reggie Fils-Aimé. But right now we've got our pre-show, and I'm really honored to be joined by 4 of the interns from the New York Game Critics Circle from DreamYard. It's always exciting for me to talk to these guys who are really a part of the circle and a lot of the reason why this show happens, which is just, it's amazing. So without further ado, I want to say hello to them. They're here on the screen. We've got Kamari, we've got Makeda, Ronald, and Isaac. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah. So, we're going to see all the awards and everything coming up, but I just wanted to chat with you guys a little bit to hear more about your story, because a lot of this show really is in benefit of the DreamYard program. So maybe tell us a bit about how did you get involved in the New York Game Critics Circle, and Harold, tell us a bit about the story of the program and becoming an intern. Like, what does that all involve? Maybe we'll start with you, Kamari.
Oh, sure. So I guess my story when it comes to joining the New York Video Game Critics Circle came from my journey into high school. Originally, I wanted to be a social therapist, so I wanted to apply to Bronx Medical High School, but they didn't have enough seats for me, so I instead went to DreamYard, an art school. And from there, through their different art programs, they had one after-school program, which was the New York Video Game Critics Circle, and they taught us all about games journalism. It was really exciting, especially for me, since I was so interested in games. And through that program, they also provided an internship program at the end. And originally, it was supposed to be only for high school seniors. But through my hard work, I was able to get the internship, and it lasted all until now.
I was going to say, how many years have you been involved? It's been a lot of years, right?
4 going on 5 years.
Wow. Well, Makeda, let me ask you, you're one of the newest members of this program, a new intern. What attracted you to sort of join in and be a part of the New York Game Critics Circle?
Well, I originally joined. I'm staying in one of the shelters that Harold and the Video Game Circle was doing like a program with, and every Thursday we would go upstairs to the recreation center and get to play video games. And the recreation center told me about it, and I was like, we get to play on the Wii, we get to like talk and eat pizza and all that stuff. And I was like, that sounds good to me, especially since I don't get to interact with many people anymore these days, since everything's pretty much virtual. So that was pretty cool. And I never played that many games before this, so I got to like really get into this video game world through the circle, and it was really cool. And everybody kept saying they're gonna offer an internship at the end, and that was really cool. And I kept thinking I'm never gonna get it. Like, I don't play video games that much. My writing is kind of like, I don't know, but I was like, well, let me keep trying. And over time, it became more and more fun. And I was so excited, like how I was like, this is great. We want to offer you an internship. So I was like, let's go. And I'm really excited to see what's going on.
I love that. Oh, well, that's such a great story. So you got into games through the Wii this year, and now have become so enamored with the space that you're an intern. What were you guys playing on the Wii? Was it like the original Wii, like Wii Sports, things like that? Or what were you guys playing?
Wii Sports was the only game I used to play, so that was like, I hope we play that. But no, we delved into a bunch of different things. I think we also played on like the PS4 or something, which my brother was excited about because he loved, and he was like, you get to play, I want to go, but he was unfortunately too young, so he was living through me when I used to go up to the circle. We played like the new Spider-Man game. So like, I never would have known about it any other way. That was like amazing. There was some other game, I can't remember what it's called, but the storytelling was just amazing. Everything I played was like something completely different. When we finally, the recreation center had to close down because COVID, of course. So they lent us Wii Switches. Is that what it's called? Nintendo Switches. And we got to play like Animal Crossing. There was a couple of other games on there. And I was like, yes, I get to join like the cool kids now and play on the Switch. So
I was going to say, you guys got hooked up if you're playing Animal Crossing and Spider-Man. And so you've come a long way from Wii Sports. And now it's awesome that you're an intern. And what I love about what Harold has done with the program is introduce games to more people and support more folks around the world, really, with this program, and inspire people about the power of games. So it's awesome to have you as the latest intern. Ronald, tell us a bit about your story and kind of being involved in the Critics Circle. How did it start for you?
Well, it started off a little similar to Kamari because we went to the same school at StreamYard, where it was a program that I was kind of interested in at first. It's just like, they told us, we could write about games that we liked, and, we could review more games, at the time, I wasn't what you'd call a writer, but I like to call myself a writer because I would write stories for myself. And, these two things were two things that go hand in hand. I love video games and I love writing, so I may as well just like try mashing them together to see what happened. And since then, I feel like I've been improving because, more games have come out, and, we've been playing more games, and I got to meet a lot of cool people, like Reggie Fils-Aimé, who will be on later. And we got to chat over the phone with the former president of PlayStation. That was cool. So yeah, it's definitely been like a long ride, a long experience, and it's ironic how far we've gotten when it started off so small. It's like a school program that you didn't think would go far until you get offered an internship, and suddenly you're a senior intern. So it's definitely like a pretty interesting story to tell.
I love that you get access to awesome folks from the game industry that can help inspire you. You get to play games, discover new games, and then also, as you said, write about them, because we need more great journalists in the gaming industry. And the fact that all you guys are able to write about games, and I've read some of your articles, I mean, incredible stuff. To Kamari, I was even reading, I think you did a story, it was like in the PlayStation blog, and it's like you guys are really out there writing for some really awesome places, which is great to see. So yeah, congratulations on being a senior intern, which is amazing. Isaac, tell us a bit about your story, and how did you hear the Game Critics Circle, and how did you get involved?
Well, it's kind of because I obviously went to the same school as Ronald and Kamari have, so we all kind of learned about the Critics Circle at the exact same time when they showed up one day and just showed us about like what it meant to really learn about writing in video games, but also just to teach us more about the industry. And when I was finished with high school, I had approached Harold for a opportunity for an internship, and he said he would look over it. And after that point, because I had written some stuff for the Critics Circle in the past, like as assignments for the Dream Year program, that's when I kind of started to begin my internship with the program. And it started with writing reviews at first, but then it started to branch off into, because I had experience with working with kids before, so that's when it started to branch off to working with the other programs in other places of the Bronx or in the city. Like we started with Chinatown, then we went to Nelson, then we went to another center, and that's where we met Nikita, and that's where we made her an intern. And then it's been really fun. It's been really nice to teach kids about learning about video games, but it's also good to teach them about those writing skills, because writing for video games also allows them to be able to write more analytically and become better writers in general. So it's been really fun to teach them about that.
Oh, that's great. So Makita, I didn't know that. So Isaac, these guys were convincing you to come join the program?
They absolutely were, and it worked.
All right. I love it. Pay it forward, which is amazing. And yeah, I know, I mean, Kamari, you and I have talked over the years at these shows, and it's been amazing to see how the program, the awards have grown. I mean, tonight, even though it's virtual, the fact that Reggie and Harold are hosting it together, I mean, amazing presenters from across the industry. It's really cool to see how it's evolved. I wanted to ask you guys leading into the show here, you've obviously been involved in the creation of it and working with Harold and the team on it. How has it been different for you guys this year? Like, Katie, you mentioned, obviously because of COVID, it's affected a lot of things. How has it been different sort of this year in terms of like working on the Critics Circle? There are less press events to go visit to play games and things like that. Have you guys, has it changed at all in terms of how you guys have approached what you're doing this year at the Circle?
If I may add something to that, it's like one of the things that is very different is that obviously since it's all virtual, it has been a lot less hands-on work, because usually we'd all meet up at the place that they hold the awards, and we'd all help out in our own ways. Like we would like help with like setting up the stage, or we would help with practicing our own lines and speeches. But now that all of this stuff is happening in the world, it's like doing it virtually means that like it's a lot less convenient, definitely. Yeah. Because it's like, one of the worst things, like schedules. Getting people's schedules like all in the same time, it's been difficult.
I know it's tough because I just went through that with Game Awards. We're trying to get everyone to be available and be a part of it. And even for you guys, I'm sure, jobs and school and everything like that has sort of changed around a little bit as well, just in terms of how you guys are approaching learning and work and things like that. So have games played a different role in your lives over the past year? I mean, you guys, Kate, as you said, you discovered games in some way, in a big way over the past year, which is awesome. But I'm curious, like Ronald, Kamari, like what's your perspective on like the role of games in your life in the past year? Has it changed?
I would say the imperfections of everything going on right now, like being on Zoom calls and Google Meets, I think they make them more memorable. Like these times are very memorable, especially when they're good moments like these, like hosting the Game Awards and being able to play games. I think games play an important role in really amplifying those memorable moments, because like we take more appreciation to the rooms around us. Like we're all in different rooms right now, different parts of our room, and like we get to really live in our space more since we're not going out and like going to different offices to talk on podcasts and panels. Like we're all here together and playing games. It's like you're amplifying your space. So I get to be in a different world and play through this game and really appreciate everything more.
That's a great answer. And I think also, it's amazing how many games came out over the past year, because, all the game developers have been having to develop from home, but it hasn't stopped the releases. I mean, such an amazing year for games that we're going to celebrate here in a little bit at the awards. But as you said, lots of new things to try and play. Ron, what about for you? Like, as a senior intern, you've been kind of, through this obviously over the years, but this is a different year for the Critics Circle and certainly for the gaming industry in the world with everything going on. How has it affected kind of how much time you've had to play games or how you've played games this year?
It's definitely like giving me more appreciation for games overall in general, because now more than ever I'm sitting in my room, finding time to do things on my own because with everything going on, I have to figure out timing. And it's definitely like playing games has definitely become a definite part of my life. It's like a life, like it's a savior. It's a diamond in the rough, really, because it's one of the only ways to pass the time. It's definitely giving me a lot more time to sit down and like consider which games I would call good based on story and based on gameplay and on stuff, because now more than ever I'm finding more appreciation for that stuff. When you're stuck in the house, what you need more than ever is a good story to sit down and like witness, and it's definitely giving me more appreciation for that side of gameplay. So yeah, I've definitely expanded my horizons in terms of how I perceive games now, thanks to all of this.
Yeah, great response. For people watching this, they may want to, I'm sure they're excited that the Critics Circle is benefiting DreamYard and giving internships to you guys to inspire you about games and hearing the love that you have for games. And Makeda, your story of sort of, really falling in love with games in a big way this year, I think is incredible. People watching this and want to support or learn more, like how can people help programs like this continue to grow? It's amazing what Harold has done with DreamYard, but like, what's your advice to gamers and people watching this on Twitch and YouTube saying, this is really cool, I want to see more of this? What can the average sort of gamer or fan do to support initiatives like this?
I might not be an expert, so my answer might be a little bit off. I would guess if I were a person who were watching this and thinking, oh, wow, I definitely want to support this. I know when I see something I want to support, I know like interacting with them, whether that's on social media. I know at least this year through gaming specifically, I was trying to find some like games that allow me to interact with other people in real time. So that'll be really cool. I know there's people asking for donations now. So even if you're not able to make like financial donations, really see if there's a way to donate your time or your energy and things like that. That's what I'd say is the best thing to do right now.
That's a great response. And I think you're right. It's, donating time. And also you certainly can, donate to the circle and the incredible program that, Harold has put together over the years that, as you said, has, I think, inspired you guys obviously to want to do more in the gaming industry. And now we have 4 budding young game journalists that will hopefully see your bylines online in many different places for years and years to come. And I love that, Harold and the circle have celebrate games every year, but they also really pay it forward and do so much good work to inspire more people to fall in love with games. So, well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks again, Kamari, Makeda, Ronald, and Isaac, the interns of the New York Game Critics Circle. And right now, without further ado, we're going to move on to the New York Game Critics Awards, the 10th annual show hosted by my friends Harold Goldberg and Reggie Fils-Aimé. Enjoy the show.
One of the things that I've missed the most this year is staying up late and playing board games with my sister. Thanks to Clubhouse Games on the Switch, we've been able to keep our competition alive from afar with intense games of Mancala, Yacht Dice, and Backgammon.
Oh hi, I didn't see you there. I think there were 2 games that got me through the pandemic. First, at the beginning of the year, it was The Last of Us 2, because, I thought, well, this will be perfect. It's a long game, it's very engrossing, and I can spend, 6 weeks playing it, and by that time everything will be back to normal.
I love Ring Fit Adventure. I look just like Brie Larson in the commercial.
I'd say my favorite game this year has been Beat Saber on Oculus. It's just been a great way to escape reality and burn off all the extra mommy juice I've been drinking.
I'd say that the game that's helped me cope the best throughout 2020 is probably Control from Remedy Entertainment. It's full of all these weird conspiracies that take you out of the kind of surreal torture that this year has been. So that's been the game that's helped me cope.
Now, towards the end of the pandemic, I've been playing a lot of Hades, which is a fantastic game and also very appropriate for the pandemic because really it's about doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that somehow it will work, but then it turns out you didn't really learn anything and you go back to the beginning.
So when COVID first started, I found my friends on a paradise planet in No Man's Sky, and you know what? COVID couldn't touch us there.
So I'm really appreciative of video games in 2020 because without them, I probably would have had to do something boring, like reading a book or a sit-up. But instead, I got to play video games with my friends. Like at the beginning of quarantine, all my childhood buddies, we all downloaded Fortnite for the first time. And it was sort of nostalgic for us to be playing games like that, you know? Like we're all in our parents' basements and we're playing a shooter and cool teenagers were making fun of us.
What have I been playing in 2020 to stave off the madness? King's Quest 6. I've regressed completely and I'm loving it.
It's been a great year for video games. You know, I get to play as characters where I can live out my greatest fantasies, you know, like in Ghost of Tsushima where I can be a super sneaky assassin, or The Last of Us 2 where I can play as somebody who's completely immune to a global pandemic.
Hey everyone, my name's Matt. You may know me better as the Goose from last year. This year I played the Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last of Us 2, and the Final Fantasy VII Remake again on hard mode, which was so hard I actually couldn't beat it.
Oh, okay. Too much mommy juice, maybe.
After that, we downloaded Spellbreak for the first time, which is really cool. I definitely recommend it. If you haven't played it, Spellbreak is just like Fortnite, but it's for people who also play Magic the Gathering still. So, my friends.
When I think about the games that got me through quarantine, I'd have to say Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Doom Eternal, and Spider-Man. I didn't play them, but I did watch the trailer over and over and over again, and that was like, just that experience was crazy. So I can only imagine if I'd been playing them, I'd probably pass out.
But after months and months of playing a ton of video games, mainly just one game over and over again, I decided it's time that I kind of called it quits and just relaxed and got down to some reading that I've been putting off. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
Really, if I had to sum it up, my only 2020 video game complaint is that I spent $70 on a Switch Pro controller, and I had stick drift right out of the box, and so now all my friends call me Joe Biden, because no matter what happens, I just keep moving to the right.
The game that got me through quarantine was The Last of Us Part 2. It was terrifying and emotional and fun to play and tense, and I just loved every minute of it, and I couldn't stop playing it. And it taught me that when your time does come, it's very important that you leave a detailed letter explaining what happened to you.
Jennifer, I'm not gonna make it. 2 clickers ambushed me, and I wasn't able to fight them off with the duct tape and half a bottle of rubbing alcohol that I brought with me. So woozy. I'm so sorry that I'm not gonna be able to bring you that pint of ice cream you wanted. Oh, seeing double. If you find this, I'll be gone. And that ice cream will definitely be melted. Oh, my mouth is so dry. My mouth is getting dry. I'll always remember you, my darling. And I'll always remember that our safe combination is 147159. Just leave that right there.
Welcome to the 10th Annual New York Game Awards. And what an opening montage. Thanks to everyone from The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and thanks to the game makers and critics for telling us about the games you played during this difficult pandemic. And thank you, Geoff Keighley, for hosting our pre-show. It was a terribly rough year during this pandemic, but it's been a stellar year for games. Games just seem to mean more than last year. Sir Harold, what do we have in store tonight?
So, Reggie, we wanted to have a very special show because it's our 10th year in existence. I can't believe the Circle has been around for a decade.
Congrats on 10 years, Harold. We do the awards to raise money so our nonprofit can continue to mentor underserved students in the Bronx and the Lower East Side.
And tonight you'll hear from all the winning game makers, sure. That's what we do. But you'll also hear from, say, Herman Hulst, somebody's head of Worldwide Studios. There will be live music from the musicians of Hades and from Saturday Night Live's Matty Rice. Legends like Richard Garriott and Devin Delaquante's hilarious In Memoriam video.
And my good friend Phil Spencer has a special message for everyone too. Wizards of the Coast and GenVid are here. And of course, the awesome high school students we serve via our nonprofit are here too. It's going to be an exceptional night full of heart and soul. So let's get right to it. Our first nominees of the evening are taken from the world of esports. And throughout the difficult year, esports still thrived.
That's right, Reggie. When we interviewed Cloud9's Jack NTN for our Talking Games with Reggie and Harold podcast, we were happy to hear that esports was generally doing well. For our first New York Game Award, here are Whitney Mears from The Gamer, Imad Khan, who writes for the New York Times, and Mike Andronico from CNN_.
COVID-19 created some major challenges in the world of esports in 2020.
However, when confronted with these challenges, teams and organizations quickly adapted.
While traditional sports struggled, people around the world tuned into esports events to get their fix of high-level competition.
Tonight, we honor the people around the world who tuned into gaming when confronted with the realities of lockdowns and stay-at-home orders.
And the nominees for Best Esports Event are Street Fighter League, Overwatch League, League of Legends Worlds, IEM Katowice, and Mortal Kombat 11 Final Combat. And the winner for Best Esports Event is Overwatch League.
Hey everyone, I'm Frank Laspina, Director of Production for Activision Blizzard Esports. To the New York Game Awards and the distinguished panel, thank you very much for this honor. I'm able to accept this award today due to the unrelenting dedication of so many that worked on the Overwatch League to overcome the unprecedented challenges of 2020. To all of the league staff, to everyone that worked on the broadcast, to our players and our coaches, to the organizations that make up the Overwatch League, and most importantly to our fans that are the best in the world, thank you so much. Special congratulations has to go out to the San Francisco Shock, though, on becoming the first ever repeat Overwatch League champions. On behalf of myself and everyone at Blizzard Entertainment, thank you so much, and we'll see you again really soon.
Here, we present our nominees for Best Esports Team.
Damwon Gaming, San Francisco Shock, Red Bull OG, Dallas Empire, and TSM Valorant. And your winner is Red Bull OG.
Hello everyone, and hello New York Game Awards. It's Alexei B here from the OG CSGO lineup,
and I just want to thank every single one that's voted for us and made us win here. 2020 was not easy for us, but we kept fighting throughout the whole year and found some success. This year I want to make you as proud, if not even prouder. Thank you, and remember to dream, OG.
Thank you for giving us the award of Team of the Year. It's been a very long and up and down year for us, but I think the main thing is that we never gave up, never stopped working hard, really, and I think it transpired in the way we played and the way we grew all over the year, and yeah, very thankful that it's being recognized, and wish everyone all the best, and we'll see you soon on the server.
Congrats to the winners. And now, here's a message from my friend and the president of Microsoft Games, Phil Spencer.
Hey everyone, it's Phil Spencer. I just wanted to thank everybody at the New York Videogame Critics Circle for all the great work that you do. From everybody at Team Xbox, this is a signed Xbox Series X for your auction. Really feels great to be able to support the amazing work that you do there. And now I'm going to try to draw Reggie's face on top of Master Chief. Just kidding. I'll just write my, we'll just sign the console. So thanks.
Man, it was so kind of Phil to sign the new Xbox Series X for us. Folks, you can bid on this one-of-a-kind Xbox right now on eBay. Just search for Phil Spencer signed Xbox. All the money goes back into our nonprofit to help mentor underserved students with gaming and writing.
Folks, mobile games started as humble games of Tetris and Snake. There was a time when mobile games were modest efforts. Now they're as essential in a player's repertoire as console games. Just like everyone else, I played a bit of Among Us this year, but I'm a lover of RPGs, so Genshin Impact was my go-to mobile game this year.
Those of you who follow us know that the New York Videogame Critics Circle is all about giving back to underserved communities in the Bronx, Lower East Side, and elsewhere. So please think about giving us a few bucks during the show at the link below. Our most senior interns have stayed with us for years now, from high school into college. They have been given opportunities such as scholarships, mentoring with Reggie, insider game events, and meetings with legends like Hideo Kojima. Here is our awesome senior intern, Ronald Gordon, with the A-Train Award for Best Mobile Game.
2020 has been a definite roller coaster of trials, tribulations, and all sorts of stress. And I know now more than ever, what we need the most is a good shot of cheer and joy. The New York Game Awards has always been something to give me that same cheer and joy. And I know we can't be face-to-face in this moment, but we can at least enjoy it for what we have here. I know in the recent months, our mobile phones have become a biggest part of our lives, and they've been the driving factor in what keeps us sane while we stay indoors and stay safe. And I know now more than ever, we need a good mobile game to play on these things. So today I will be announcing the A-Train Award for Best Mobile. And the nominees are Round Guard, Necro Barista, Creeks, Little Orpheus, Good Sudoku, Genshin Impact, Wide Open Big Jacket. And the winner is Genshin Impact.
After multiple attempts, we couldn't get in touch with the Genshin Impact people in Asia to accept this award.
We'll keep trying, though. Congrats on your win, and I really enjoyed playing the game. And now, here's a message from a previous Circle Legend winner, the great Richard Garriott. astronaut, explorer, and the creator of the iconic Ultimate game.
Greetings, fellow video gamers. I know that you know that the video game industry is now bigger than all other creative media combined. And that's not just economically, but also in social impact. We in the industry have an opportunity, if not a responsibility, to shepherd this art form into a powerful force that transcends entertainment and also provides meaning for our players, just as other art forms before us have done. How we reflect on our work, how we celebrate our achievements, how we pass on what each generation has learned is critical to this future. The New York Videogame Critics Circle is leading the way into a bright future through their community outreach, which includes scholarships, and their awards for games and journalism. While I myself am a Legend awardee, what I found at the New York Videogame Critics Circle is a diverse and talented next generation, which is already well on the path to leading us into a bright future. I hope you will join me in the support of the work of the New York Videogame Critics Circle.
Richard, thanks so much for the inspiring words. We continue to work hard trying to give back to our community. Now, CNET's Dan Ackerman and his awesome wife Libby, who's worked at AOL and Nickelodeon, have been with us since the first awards on 8th Street in New York 10 years ago. So has CNET's Scott Stein. Dan and Libby were so into that first awards that they brought their newborn baby with them to the theater. So here are Dan, Libby, and Scott with the Central Park Children's Zoo Award for Best Kids Game.
So we're here talking about kids games. 2020's babysitter. Scott, what are your kids playing?
My kids are playing everything that they can do to get together with their friends. So every part of the house has become a play area to connect. Fortnite, Roblox, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Roblox, a little more Fortnite.
That's what I hear, yeah.
Yeah. It's an endless cycle of those games and whatever other games they happen to be discovering, and then back to those games to both friends. And D&D on Roll20.
Yeah, and I think this is the year that parents are learning to love screen time. Screen time is no longer a bad word.
It's our friend, and we have an excuse this year, which I like. So the nominees for the Best Kids Game are
Dreams, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Moving Out, Good Job,
Drake Hollow, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Astro's Playroom.
and the winner is Animal Crossing
New Horizons.
On behalf of everyone at Nintendo, thank you so much. It's an honor to accept this award from such an esteemed group as the New York Video Game Critics Circle. You all do outstanding work in the industry and in the community, so thank you to Harold and all the other members. During such a tough year, it's been nice to see people of all ages, from kids to adults, enjoying everything that Animal Crossing New Horizons has to offer. Whether it's living on the same island as your family, visiting your friends' islands, or showing your designs or dream island to people all around the world, the game brings people together and puts smiles on everybody's faces. And we all know smiles were much needed this year. Since Animal Crossing New Horizons launched last March, we've seen people all around the world having fun in endlessly entertaining ways. I've traveled to countless islands, both by seaplane and through dreams, and the astounding creativity and care on display never ceases to amaze me. I don't think I'll ever tire of seeing such joy reflected in the medium that we all enjoy. The development team is still working on future updates, of course, so players will be able to continue enjoying their island lives. So on behalf of everyone that worked on Animal Crossing New Horizons, thank you.
There are some great family games out this year, but Animal Crossing New Horizon was a no-brainer for me. I still make time to play it every day, sometimes to the consternation of my wife, Stacy.
It really was such a phenomenon, Reggie, a welcoming world that meant something important to us beyond games. Next up is a message from Evan Narcissus. Evan and I co-founded the New York Video Game Critics Circle along with Andrew Yoon on the Lower East Side 10 years ago. Now Evan's a writer on the blockbuster PlayStation 5 hit Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Hi, everyone. This is Evan Narcissus. I'm recording this in Austin, Texas, where I live now, which is not New York, of course. But I did get my start in New York. I was born there, raised there. Only place I ever lived up until a couple of years ago when I moved here. And I miss it terribly. And I miss organizations like the Critics Circle. You know, I was there when this all started, and it was basically kind of like a loose confederation of people who wrote about the business of video games and the craft of video games, deciding to form this organization. And one of the things I love about it is so New York in its kind of beginnings. It's very much a do-it-yourself grassroots organization. And I'll never forget the first Critics Award, like showing up all dressed up and, you know, kind of wondering if anybody would come, but then being blown away that people did show up and have continued to show up. And, you know, you get game developers and people from within the medium flying from all across the world to be part of this and to, you know, recognize to acknowledge the recognition that they get from members of the circle. And that, you know, that do-it-yourself grassroots kind of spirit extends to some of the work that the Critics Circle is doing now with the mentoring and teaching young people about, you know, the craft of writing, the craft of criticism. And I think it's great to see what the circle has grown into. And I'm so proud of what Harold and everybody else associated with it has done. And I'm glad that it continues to exist and to thrive.
I'm so glad Evan could participate in our 10th awards. Next up is the Freedom Tower Award for Best Remake. You know, at Nintendo, we found that when developers decided to make a remake of an old gem, often a brand new look would inspire a whole new generation of fans.
Right, Reggie. Playing graphically enhanced older games on new systems, especially when they're made with care, allows us to see the story and characters in a whole new light. Now, presenting the Freedom Tower Award for Best Remake are two delightful people. Here's Samit Sarkar from Polygon and Sarah Clemens from Unwinnable.
The video game industry is always happy to trade on nostalgia and sell our childhoods back to us. But honestly, this time around, we're happy to embrace it.
2020 was a year we all wanted to forget while we were actively living through it. So it's fitting that some of the best games of the year were remakes.
Publishers reached deep into their back catalogs, some going more than 2 decades into the past, to find classics to revive, and to give us a reason to think about the good old days from, well, any year before this one.
These 6 unforgettable games have stood the test of time, and thanks to their terrific 2020 remakes, they'll be newly accessible and relevant for a new generation of fans.
The nominees for the Freedom Tower Award for Best Remake are
Black Mesa,
Demon's Souls,
Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Mr. Driller Drill Land,
Resident Evil 3,
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. And the winner is
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
皆さんこんにちは。ファイナルファンタジー7リメイクのプロデューサーを務めておりますスクエアエニックスの北瀬義則です。この度はベストリメイクアワードという素晴らしい賞をいただきまして大変光栄に思っております。ニューヨークビデオゲームクリティクスサークルの皆様並びにファイナルファンタジー7リメイクをサポートしてくださるファンの皆様に改めて感謝を申し上げたいと思います。 1997年にですね、原作ファイナルファンタジー7は発売されたわけですけども、当時我々ね、全く新しいゲームを作ってやろうという意気込みで制作していたわけですけれども、24年経った今、今作リメイクが発売されて、それとね、当時と同じ驚きをね、与えることができたということはね、この賞の受賞をもってね、それが証明されたのではないかなと思っております。最後にですね、開発チームを代表いたしましてですね、ファイナルファンタジー7リメイクのファンの皆様、そして、世界中のゲームファンの皆様に改めて、感謝を申し上げますとともにですね、今後の皆様の生活の、安全と、健康をお祈りしております。
Next up is the Statue of Liberty Award for Best World, an award inspired by the sense of exploration, adventure, and art in games. Here are two core members of the circle, Cherie Smith from Laptop Magazine and Jordan Miner from PC Mag.
Gaming has and always will be a way to escape the humdrums of everyday life. And now that we've been stuck in our houses for the past 9 months, that's more important than ever. At this point, we'd rather be anywhere than these four walls, even a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Okay, maybe not that.
Thankfully, at a time when we can barely remember the real world, this year's nominees for Best World delivered some truly spectacular sights and set pieces that served up plenty of oohs and ahs and maybe some oh no's along the way. In 2020, who knew seeing your own house from an airplane could be so exciting?
Ranges, stumbling upon a darkened glade where the old gods still reign, or hacking and slashing your way through the Elysium fields. These game worlds captured the imagination with their breadth of scope and inherent beauty.
Without further ado, here are the nominees for the Statue of Liberty Award for Best World.
Ghost of Tsushima,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Microsoft Flight Simulator,
Hades,
Umurangi Generation,
Demon's Souls,
Cyberpunk 2077 for PC. And the winner is Ghost of Tsushima.
Thank you for this award for Best World. It means so much to us. In fact, the way that we think about recreating Tsushima here when we first started this project was kind of like how can we use it as a time machine to recreate feudal Japan and transport you to this time and place. And really and truly to pull that off, it required every single member from Sucker Punch and everyone that contributed on this project at our team to really give it their all. And you really did just that. So thank you everyone at Sucker Punch and all of our teammates for contributing and making this game so special. We also had to think expansively about what it is to make games and who you need in order to pull this game off. And we had to pull some new people in. So thank you to our colleagues at Sony Japan and for everything that you've done to guide us from the very beginning all the way to the very end of this project. Your support means the world to us. And lastly, thank you to all of our consultants who frankly were teachers all throughout this project on all the small decisions to the big decisions to make this a memorable project for us. On behalf of Sucker Punch, thank you.
Folks, for many years now, Sony has understood what we at the Circle want to do to help high school students. In fact, they've joined us to mentor students during our classes.
Now, here's some wisdom from Herman Hulst, the co-founder of Guerrilla Games and Sony's president for Worldwide Studios.
Hello, everyone, from here in Amsterdam. I'm sorry I can't be with you all right now, but I'm a big fan of the Critics Circle, and I'm a big fan of what it stands for. At their best, I think games should be able to tell us stories that make us feel connected and that provide experiences for us to enjoy alongside others. But like any art form, games are better when varied voices and varied points of view can contribute and can create freely. We need more diverse voices in gaming. We need different genders, ages, sexualities, different races, nationalities, but also different backgrounds and different histories. Last year's shown us, maybe more than ever, how important communities can be to all of the people within them. And the work that Harold and everybody at the Circle does to connect with less fortunate community members using games, I think is really, really important. I love that the Circle has a focus on coming together to enjoy games and on learning about their creation and about the industry as a whole. You know, there should be more of this. I think gaming is better for it. Thank you and have a truly wonderful evening.
Thanks so much, Herman. We look forward to seeing the next releases for PlayStation, including Guerrilla's Horizon Forbidden West.
Last year, Wizards of the Coast became a major donor, helping the Circle expand our nonprofit work. Thankfully, they're back this year to help us out. Take a look at what's in store this year for the publisher of Dungeons & Dragons and Magic: The Gathering.
Come on! Go save the others! Go!
Wow. A lot of good stuff indeed from an iconic publisher. You know, indie games have always meant a lot to me. I love the innovation indie developers bring to the world of video games. From some of the smallest indie developers have come some pretty big ideas.
They've meant a lot to us too, Reggie, because the Circle itself is pretty indie in spirit. We started out with 300 viewers online, and we've seen as many as 400,000 watching. Still, that's way indie when you compare it to the Game Awards. Now, to present the Off-Broadway Award for Best Indie, here's our Roundup columnist, Matt Girardi, and from Tom's Hardware, Michelle Earhart.
2020 was a bad year for, well, pretty much everything. But amid all the adversity, independent game creators still came out in force to release a staggering number of innovative, meaningful, and altogether great games.
Absolutely. It's not an exaggeration to say this was our most competitive category among this year's awards. Each of the games that made it to our final list of nominees easily could have run away with the prize in any of our 9 previous award shows.
But that this group of games came out in 2020 is also a part of what makes them so special. This year's nominees are a collection of works that are about community, escape, patience, death, and living through the end of the world.
In other words, these are the games that reflected so much of what so many of us were feeling and thinking about throughout 2020.
Whether they were telling poignant stories about saying goodbye to friends you used to see all the time,
or just making us fall on our asses over and over again.
This year's nominees for Best Indie Game are
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, The Longing, Patience, Hades, Fall Guys, Spiritfarer, Paradise Killer, Umurangi Generation.
and the winner is
Hades.
thank you so much to the New York Video Game Critics Circle. This is an incredible honor for us, especially kind of having been involved since the beginning of the Critics Circle. Logan and Ashley and I have all been involved in some way. So it's been really fun to see you guys grow over the years, and thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's an interesting narrative having hosted the first one of these to now be here. It's a really interesting feeling. But thank you, Harold. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you to the entire Critics Circle. This is really nice. We feel like a kinship with you because we've sort of grown up alongside you the same span of years. So it makes it extra special. Thank you.
Now, here's a memory from Jill Shar, the first of our interns who made good beyond us by becoming a senior writer on the Destiny series.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jill Shar. I'm a native New Yorker and a member of the New York Video Game Critics Circle until 2015, when I moved to Seattle, Washington to work as a narrative designer and writer for Bungie's sci-fi shooter game Destiny. Now I'm the lead writer on an unannounced project at Harebrained Schemes, the studio behind BattleTech and Shadowrun Returns. I'm so grateful to have been a part of the circle and to have gotten to meet so many wonderful, smart, creative people like Stu Horvath, whose publication Unwinnable I am so proud to have written for, and Jorge Jimenez, a great writer and podcaster and a wonderful friend, and Victor Kalianis, who tragically can't tell the difference between an Octorok and a Tentacool. And the last person I want to mention, of course, is Cherie Smith, who I knew before the circle, and in my career as a journalist, she was a mentor as well as a friend. Thank you, Cherie. Happy New York Video Games Awards, everyone.
Thank you, Jill. Superb writing isn't talked about enough in the world of video games, but I think it's just as important as artwork and gameplay in rounding out a game.
In the history book I've written, I've devoted chapters to a time when engineers and coders did all the writing. But later, the work of Amy Hennig in Uncharted, Dan Houser in GTA 3, and Ken Levine in BioShock started a renaissance in narrative that thankfully continues to this day.
So here to present the Herman Melville Award for Best Writing in a Game are Patrick Lucas Austin from Time and Felicia Miranda from IGN.
Great writing in video games can turn a good experience into an unforgettable one. And this year, there was no shortage of well-written characters with captivating experiences to jump into. In a year where dozens of incredibly inventive games are vying for our attention, it's the ones with the compelling tale that truly catapult to the top.
Games with narratives about perseverance, family dynamics, revenge, leaving one's mark on the world, those are the games I'm certain we'll be talking about for many years to come. But today, we're not here to gush about all the amazing stories we got to play this year. We're here to honor the games that moved us the most. Here are the nominees for the Herman Melville Award for Best Writing. The Last of Us, Part 2.
If you lie to me one more time, I'm gone.
If Found. Assassin's Creed, Valhalla.
I was on a mountain in a violent blizzard, climbing toward the summit, following a wolf.
They say he was the strongest demigod who
Hades.
ever lived. Though I bet you could take him, sir. Big guy like that, you'd be too quick, I'm sure. You ever meet him?
Spider-Man, Miles
How
Morales.
are you drinking? Very, very carefully. Okay, go time.
And Cyberpunk
like what you see?
2077 for PC.
If I didn't, rest assured, you'd know.
Treachery in Beatdown City.
And the winner is Hades.
Make you reconsider whatever it is that you're attempting here.
Your whip's not been all that persuasive in the past.
Hey, thanks so much to the judges of the New York Video Game Critics Circle for honoring the writing in Hades with this award. It really means a lot. We set out to make a game in a genre not typically known for its storytelling, in part for that very fact. We figured that through getting to know this big cast of characters that we created, players could come away from the experience with a sense of warmth and optimism despite the kind of grim trappings of Hades. I'm so grateful to work at a studio that even bothers to put the time into something like this and to put the faith in someone like me to do this job. So to my longtime colleagues, thank you so much, and to our amazing voice cast and our quality assurance team, thank you as well for making this moment possible.
Last year, I joined the New York Video Game Critics Circle board. I was born in the Bronx, where the circle does much of its mentoring. And I find giving back to young people as rewarding as the students do when they hear that if they challenge themselves and persevere, they could be as successful as I've been. The circle works with a number of partners, and there's Harold with shout outs to those who have helped us and who we've helped.
Thanks, Reggie, for speaking to our students and for helping to get the word out about the New York Video Game Critics Circle. You've been an incredible help behind the scenes too as we grow.
You know, you're most welcome, Harold, but there are many more people to thank.
Reggie, there really are. When I began the New York Video Game Critics Circle, we advocated for ourselves because we were being given short shrift by the game companies on the West Coast. Within a couple of years, that mission was complete. And we pivoted to helping underserved students in the Bronx and Lower East Side. We also mentored older adults, and we participated in community events for thousands of students over the years at the New York Public Library, the American Museum of Natural History, and at numerous summer events outdoors. We hold panels on games history and journalism, give scholarships, and offered paid internships. So we want to thank our nonprofit partners, BronxWorks, Gateway Housing, the Henry Street Settlement, and the Dream Yard Project. In fact, we're the longest partner the Dream Yard has ever had. I want to thank our donors, particularly GenVid and Wizards of the Coast, who came through big time this year. Sony has helped us from day one. Jen, Karen, and Alyssa there have always been there for us. Thanks also to Nintendo, Microsoft, MSK, Ubisoft, Devolver Digital, Bethesda Softworks, YouTube, Twitch, Avalanche, NPD, and Mythical Games, along with Catherine and Jeffrey Soros for their kind donations. We challenge all the companies we contact not to ignore us, but to help in some way, using the power of video games to help young people develop communication and thinking capabilities is always a worthy cause. And then there's the circle. The brilliant Professor Helen Pfeffer has helped mentor students and carefully edit their stories from day one. John Azalona, Victor Kalagianis, and George Jimenez work incredibly hard as our awesome tech team, especially John. I can always rely on Cherise Smith to mentor, to help, and be there when going gets tough. Amber Stafford gives selflessly when it comes to media relations, and so does Whitney Mears, who heads up our social media team. Devin Delaquante and Daniel Radosh from The Daily Show with Trevor Noah always come through with tight, satiric comedy, and Saturday Night Live guitarist Maddie Rice comes back year after year to bring us superior guitar play and vocals. And finally, our senior interns, Kamari Rennis, Isaac Espinoza, and Ronald Gordon, get better and better and are always a joy to work with. In fact, so are all the students you mentor. This year, we began teaching at the BronxWorks network of shelters. One student wrote, "I want to be like Pikachu because he's cute and cuddly, and I know no one will ever see me that way." I want to make this pledge to all of the students we work with. We see you as our stars, not Grammy winners or Oscar winners, or even the New York Game Award winners whose games we love. You are our stars, and we're here to help you. All you need to do is reach out whenever you need us. That's our pledge. The circle will be there for you.
Well said, Harold. At my first interaction with students mentored by the Critics Circle, I was moved. Being born in the Bronx, I could have been one of them, looking for a way to learn new skills and develop my inquisitive mind. Now it's our responsibility to coach and encourage them to achieve their dreams. Last month during a video call, a student from BronxWorks asked, "Will you come visit us, Reggie?" I replied, "Of course, once the pandemic is over." He said, "But we're in a shelter." It's a shelter. It doesn't matter where you are, I said. I assured him that I would be there. And it's important for me, for all of us to give back.
Thanks so much, Reggie. We want to announce a new game narrative and review writing scholarship in partnership with Games for Change. It will be for underserved students in New York, Los Angeles, Detroit, and nationwide. We'll have more details soon.
That's great, Harold. Going nationwide is definitely something to look forward to in this year. And you can help us give back too by clicking on the link below and kicking in a few bucks. No amount is too small or too large.
Now, here's our most beloved ongoing segment. It's created by last year's host and Emmy winner Devin Delaquanti from The Daily Show. Here's Devin's in memoriam video.
That was hilarious. Devin's a genius.
He really is. I'll be watching that video over and over again, especially when I need a little boost.
One of the Circle's most talked about and most anticipated awards is its yearly Knickerbocker Award for Best Games Journalism. Each year, the Journalism Committee pours through scores of the year's best stories to come up with a short list for Circle members to vote upon. Here's Nick Capizzoli, the Circle's journalism chair, to present the nominees.
Video games. They're not just Pac-Man anymore. I think it was Tim Rogers who said that. We often hear about how video games have become the dominant art form of the modern era. A $100 billion a year industry with global saturation, and some of those financially successful entertainment products of human history. Big enough to dwarf theater, or reading, or even the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When people are trying to convince a skeptic about the merit of playing video games, and by extension, the merit of covering video games, those are the figures they'll often point to. Take those big numbers too much to heart, though, and you'll end up at something that we call video game exceptionalism, the idea that video games are a better art by virtue of their newness or their popularity. Video games are not a better art than these mediums. It's true that they are frequently more than them. Bigger, faster, longer running, more expensive to produce, and as a consequence of that, more risk-averse. More grueling on the developers who undergo long hauls under the endemic conditions of crunch to bring them to their audience. If we as journalists can solve the problems of the industry and the art of video games, facing this sheer of a scale, well, that'd be proof positive that media journalists at large can help solve them too. It was with that hope that I posed an award for games journalism to the Critics Circle 6 years ago. Exceptionalism is even written into this award. The abstract that I originally wrote for Harold reads, "As an organization of professional games journalists and critics, we're uniquely positioned to offer an award for exceptional games journalism. The truth is that exceptionalism in games journalism isn't actually that exceptional. We're celebrating these select nominees tonight, but many are deserving. And on behalf of the Critics Circle, I want to thank all the journalists and critics out there for their work during this difficult year. That said, nominees for the 2020 Games Journalism Award are Maddie Myers, Jason Schreier, Nicole Carpenter, Emmanuel Mayberg, Claire L. Evans, Kazuma Hashimoto, Zoyander Street, Ewan Morgan. And the winner is Jason Schreier.
I am honored to accept this award. A big thank you to the New York Video Game Critics Circle. I really appreciate it. So many people to thank. Thank you to everyone out there who's read and supported my work. Thank you to my former team at Kotaku, including my editor, Stephen Totillo. If you've read something on the internet and it was any good, that's probably because of an editor. Thank you to my current team at Bloomberg News, the whole tech team here, Mark Milley and Molly Schutz, my editors, keep kicking ass every day. And most of all, thank you to my sources, to people out there who speak out, sometimes at great professional and personal risk, to get their voices heard, to tell their stories, to push for change, to fight for better work conditions. None of this would be possible without the people speaking out and telling their stories. So thank you most of all to them. And thanks everybody.
Congratulations. What an important year it was for journalism. And that includes the best game journalists who continue to report and write about the good and the bad in the video game industry. Now, here's the absolutely brilliant Saturday Night Live guitarist Maddie Rice to sing 2 songs from games nominated in our Tin Pan Alley Award for Best Music in a Game. Take it away, Maddie.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me again, and congratulations to the Circle on the 10th annual New York Game Awards. I'm going to start with my take on an old folk song that was used in the ending credits of The Last of Us Part 2. Okay. I am a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. There is no illness, toil, or danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my mother. I'm going there, no more to roam. I am just going over Jordan. I am just going over Rome. And no dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields lie just before me, where God's redeemed their vigils keep. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there, no more to roam. I am just going over Jordan. I am just going home. I'll soon be free from earthly trials. This body rests beneath the sun. I'll drop this cross of self-denial and go on singing home to God. I'm going there to see my Savior. I'm going there, no more to roam. I am just going over Jordan. I am just going over home. I am just going over home. I am just going over home. So as I understand it, Final Fantasy VII is one of the greatest games of all time. So if you'll bear with me for a second, I'm gonna do a guitar-only version of one of the tracks from the Final Fantasy VII remake from last year. Just gotta get, I pre-recorded a rhythm guitar backing track. Let me get that set up. Okay. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.
What an amazing talent Maddie is. I got chills. Now, here's senior intern Kamari Rennis, along with our newest intern, Jade Etienne. They're presenting our Coney Island Dreamland Award for Best AR/VR Game.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kamari Rennis, senior intern at the New York Videogame Critics Circle and a game design major at NYU.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jade Etienne, a non-binary junior from Dreamyard Preparatory High School and a Twitch affiliate. I have recently started working with the New York Video Games Critics Circle, and I am thankful for the opportunities that they have given me this year. Thank you to the awesome creators and creative minds who have made these amazing games that we are about to announce. I believe that there's not a lot of LGBTQ plus POC representation in video games, either as content creators or in the games themselves. I hope to change that and help inspire more representation in the gaming community.
Speaking on representation and opportunities, The New York Video Game Critics Circle prepared me to pursue my game design bachelor's in the midst of a pandemic. One day, I hope to make games just as wonderful as the ones I'm about to present. Despite all of our hardships in the pandemic, games haven't changed, and neither has the circle. Video games are quite hospitable when it comes to letting us into their world while escaping our own. Whether it is surviving a zombie apocalypse or creating your own expansive world, we are honored to present the nominees for the Coney Island Dreamland Award for Best AR and VR Game.
And the nominees are Half-Life Alyx,
Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Dreams,
Paper Beast, Star Wars Squadron, and the winner for the 2020 Coney Island Dreamland Award for Best AR and VR Game is Half-Life Alyx.
On behalf of Valve, thank you so much for this award.
Half-Life Alyx is a project that's near and dear to us. As developers, virtual reality represented a huge area of potential for the Half-Life universe.
And it was exciting for us to explore that.
And although Valve is really the creator of the franchise, we really think of our work as a partnership with fans.
This is what drives us to bring as much craftsmanship, love, and care as we can into Half-Life and beyond.
Having those efforts acknowledged with this award means a lot to us and truly reinforces our commitment to continue building stories and experiences in the Half-Life universe.
So on behalf of everyone at Valve, again, thank you so much for the honor of receiving this award.
Congratulations. You know, some of our winners come as complete surprises, but many of us had a strong feeling that going in that Alyx would take the big prize in VR. Now, here's our platinum level donor, GenVid, with an important message.
My name is Chris Cataldi, and I'm the COO and co-founder of GenVid Technologies. As a native New Yorker, I take great pride in GenVid's ability to be a globally active tech company with its headquarters here in New York. I'm from Upper Manhattan, Inwood to be specific, and went through the New York Archdiocesan public school systems. That's why I have a deep appreciation for the initiatives that the New York Video Game Critics Circle creates and supports. From providing scholarships, mentoring, and more to high schoolers in the Bronx and Lower East Side, to courses and game rooms for homeless students in the Bronx Works network of shelters, I really believe in what Harold, Reggie, and the team are doing. In these difficult times, it's important now, more than ever before, that we all do whatever we can to give back. And supporting the Critics Circle is one of the best ways to do that. The team at GenVid has spent years building the most sophisticated interactive broadcasting technology on the planet, capable of powering all kinds of new content. It's platform and engine agnostic, ultra low latency, and being used by major game studios, tech firms, and social media platforms. Our most ambitious project so far is Rival Peak, a 12-week interactive survival show designed to fully evolve based on the input of the watching and playing audience. Married with a top-tier narrative design, it really is a new and exciting class of real-time adventure show. Rival Peak is a Facebook Watch original, developed with Pipeworks Studios and with creative contribution from DJ2 Entertainment. It debuted December 2nd, 2020, and slated to air until the end of February 2021, only on Facebook. With up to 13 simultaneous 24/7 interactive live feeds, and Rival Speak, a weekly companion show hosted by Will Wheaton, this project is a new form of interactive entertainment, with audiences following and instantly assisting or thwarting the actions of 12 sophisticated AI contestants, who have to worry about surviving the wilds of the Pacific Northwest, each other, and more. Rival Peak is also the biggest example to date of a massive interactive live event, or MILE. 2 billion Facebook users around the world can interact with any of the live streams in real time, with no downloads or updates required. Now in its 9th of 12 weeks, Rival Peak Season 1 has attracted more than 40 million views on episodes of Rival Speak, and over 100 million views on Rival Peak content. Check it out today at facebook.com/rivalpeak. Here's a quick look at 2 upcoming games that will feature our tech, beginning with Dennis Dyack of Legacy of Kain fame.
Through GenVid Technologies, our vision of Dead House Sonata has expanded incredibly, with viewers being able to participate in the game without even having it installed. Set traps, give players buffs, allow a political faction to have a temporary advantage, play a shopkeeper or even an NPC in the game for an hour. Who needs the computer-generated AIs when we can have real audience participating in LARPing in the game? This changes everything.
Using GenVid's technology, we've been able to introduce a 24/7, always online window into the city of Detroit, allowing viewers to impact the game world in real time. From dropping items and obstacles into players' paths to collectively impacting the politics and the economics of the city. Not to mention giving each viewer their own suite of CCTV cameras so they can view the action however they choose.
In addition to our unique SDK, we also have a robust services division that can handle any number of simultaneous live streams, as Rival Peak illustrates. We're excited about the future of interactive streaming and would love to speak with you about taking your next project to the next level.
You know, I've seen GenVid's work, and I love the disruptive things Jacob and his team are doing. You should really check it out.
And now we have a big surprise, right, Reggie?
You know, that's right. We have someone very special to present the Great White Way Award for Best Acting. Tim Guinea has acted in scores of films, including Iron Man and Clarice, the upcoming Silence of the Lambs spinoff that I'm looking forward to on CBS. Tim's also a leader in former Vice President Al Gore's climate reality project. Here's Tim.
The Great White Way Award for Best Acting in a Game is perhaps more important this year than in other years. As an actor in things like the Iron Man series, I know that entertainment can have a potent effect. And in this isolated year, we needed great acting more than ever. A nonprofit like Circle, which gives back daily to underserved communities, is just as important. The nominees for Best Acting are Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2.
And then, I don't know, maybe find a way to lure him out.
Ashley Johnson as Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2.
No. Now you know.
Brianna White as Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Never mind. It's not like you'd believe me after all.
Logan Cunningham as Hades and many others in
Stupid
Hades.
boy. I told you nobody gets out of here, whether alive or dead. So how was your wanton ransacking of my domain?
Najee Jeter as Miles Morales in Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Look, I don't know if I'm ready to fly solo. I screwed up today big time with the helicopter.
Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077.
Your mind shrivels to nothing and frees up space for me.
August Black as Tyler Ronan in Tell Me Why.
Wow. It's basically exactly like I remember it. Only faded.
The winner is Logan Cunningham in Hades. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. Thank you, Harold. Thank you to the Critics Circle. Congratulations on 10 years. Thank you, Reggie. My fellow nominees, it's an honor to be even mentioned, to be even adjacent to you. You're all wonderful. Thank you to everyone who's played Hades. Thank you, Supergiant. This is the New York Video Game Awards, and so I feel I need to thank my parents who allowed me to come here for college way back when, Fordham, Lincoln Center, and allowed me to stay here after. And so much of what I have in my life and so much of what I've built has a lot to do with this place, this city, and its people. So this has special meaning for me. Thank you very much.
Oh man, congrats to all the nominees. The acting in the games of 2020 was just so inspiring. All the nominees hit it out of the park. But Logan played so many diverse characters in Hades, all with different voices. He definitely deserves the award.
You know, folks, please take some time to click on the link below and make a donation to the Circle. You'll be glad you did.
Reggie, I always say that every donation counts, however small. So please, folks, take time to give right now or after the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Korb and Ashley Barrett played music from Bastion, Supergiant's first game, at the very first New York Game Awards 10 years ago. I'm thrilled they're back a decade later to honor us with their virtual presence. Performing a song from the hit game Hades, here are Darren Korb and Ashley Barrett.
Farewell to all the earthly remains. No burdens, no further debts to be paid. Atlas can rest his weary bones. The weight of the world all falls away in time. Goodbye to all the plans that we made. No contracts, I'm free to do as I may. No hunger, no sleep except a dream. My old and worn, safe from all harm. Come, good riddance to all the thieves, to all the fools that stifled me. They've come and gone and passed me by. Good riddance to all. Farewell to all the earthly remains. No burdens, no further debts to be paid. Atlas can rest his weary bones. The weight of the world all falls away in time.
Hello, I am Darren Korb, and this is Ashley Barrett, and we are happy to be back performing for the New York Videogame Critics Circle Awards. We actually performed at the very first New York Game Critics Circle Awards many years ago. And that song, this last song, was Good Riddance. That was from Hades. The game just came out this year. And this next song is the song that we played at the very first New York Game Critics Circle Awards. So I'm going to play that now. It requires an alternate tuning, so with the magic of video editing, I'm gonna make that happen with the snap of my fingers. You ready? Here we go. See? Magic. Ready, Ashley? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
a sail, fly the wind, it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. Build that wall and build it strong for me. We'll be there before too eyes open wide, I feel my heart is growing. One day that wall is gonna fall. Sweet, I'll take your hand. Gonna build that wall up to the sky. One day a bird is gonna fly. Sweet home. Build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too long.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'm Darren Korb. It's Ashley Barrett. Happy to perform at the New York Video Game Critics Circle Awards again. Thanks for having us.
Weren't they great? Now we have some folks who've been core circle members, but have rarely had the chance to present at the awards.
Reggie, because the awards are virtual, I'm so happy to announce that the people who put our show together, our terrific tech team, is here to present. To present the Tin Pan Alley Award for Best Music, here are my good friends John Azalona, Victor Calagianas, and George Jimenez.
Music has a way of making the most mundane fetch quests more interesting, boss fights more menacing, and epic victories more satisfying.
The right score can build atmosphere, provide context, and rattle your senses. A sturdy swell or an emotional sting at the turning point of a major narrative reveal or a tonal change can transform a powerful moment into an unforgettable one.
Music can make anything better. Don't believe us? This may seem like a by-the-numbers award show nominee presentation. Add some royalty-free music we found online to slowly billow up as we talk, and just like that, we've made things at least 25% more dramatic. That being said, here are the nominees for Best Music. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Final Fantasy VII Remake. The Last of Us.
What was
Part
that?
2.
Nothing. Well, nothing sure sounds nice.
Teenage Blob. Hades. Spider-Man: Miles Morales. Fuser. Ghost of Tsushima.
And the winner is...
Hades.
thank you so much to Harold and Reggie and the whole New York Game Critics Circle. This is truly an honor, especially given the fierce, wonderful competition in this category. It is truly an honor to be nominated and to win this award. And I have a suspicion that Ashley Barrett's incredible voice is part of the reason the award went this way. So I want to thank Ashley Barrett for being incredible to work with all these years on all the games. And I want to thank the team at Supergiant Games for being some of the most talented humans alive and allowing me to do what I love every single day.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It's been such an honor to work on Hades. I'm so happy I could be your soothing sound in the underground. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have another big announcement, Reggie. The Circle will be partnering with Rockstar Games here in New York. Rockstar will help us mentor and offer scholarships to some of our underserved students. In addition, Rockstar will offer our best students paid internships at Rockstar Games, starting in just a few weeks. We're super excited about this opportunity.
And now we have another Circle moment from the past, this time regarding some artwork.
Reggie, our third New York Game Awards included artist Robin Yang, who created a painting that never fails to move me when I look at it. I look at it above my desk every day for inspiration. But let's let Robin explain.
Hi, my name is Robin Yang. Congratulations to the Circle on your 10th Game Awards show. As someone who first got started in the game industry as a writer, I can't overstate the appreciation I have for an organization like the Circle that builds community, expertise, and camaraderie among aspiring and continuing professionals in this field. 7 years ago, Harold asked me to contribute a painting for the third New York Game Awards. This piece, which was featured throughout the ceremony and the program booklet, depicts a group of storytellers around a campfire, interpreting the constellations above them and creating new meaning from the experiences they've shared between them. I'd like to donate the original piece to the Circle. Each year, the Circle gives out the Andrew Yoon Legend Award. Andrew was an avid gamer, writer, a Circle co-founder, and a good friend of mine. We miss him dearly. Here to present the Andrew Yoon Legend Award, Reggie and Harold.
What an awesome donation and heartfelt remarks as well. Thank you, Robin.
Reggie, Robin talked movingly about Andrew Yoon. Andrew was a Circle co-founder, a brilliant journalist who boldly began making his own games, including a witty card game called Divorce. Andrew's young life was cut short in a terrible swimming accident, and we honor the memory of Andrew Yoon by naming our Legend Award after him.
Harold, in the weeks leading up to the New York Game Awards, the Circle inducted 3 legends into its Hall of Fame. You can find our interviews with these greats of gaming at NewYorkGameCritics.com and on our YouTube channel. The first interview gets inside the story of one of the first Black men in games, Jerry Lawson, who helped create the video game cartridge.
Brenda and John Romero have never been given awards together. Both have worked gaming wonders together and alone, including Gunman Taco Truck and the new Empire of Sin. Our interview with them is just a stellar, very human conversation.
Almost everyone knows that Hideo Kojima is a profound auteur in the world of games. He's not only a one-of-a-kind game maker, whose most recent work, Death Stranding, is beautiful and unusual to play. He's taken time to do a photo session with the students we serve.
And now we're proud to bring you John Ezzalona's montage of our interviews with Anderson Lawson, Jerry's son, Brenda and John Romero, and Hideo Kojima. Enjoy. The first of these Andrew Yoon Legend Awards goes to Jerry Lawson, the awesome creator of the video game cartridge, the Fairchild Channel F console, and a strong Black man who stepped up and never gave up. Without the brilliance of Mr. Lawson and his cartridge innovations, we would not have had any of the great consoles we've had during the 60 years of story game history.
ゲームが何であるかってまだ決まってないんですよね。やっぱり新しいメディアなんで。 何をやってもいいわけなんですよ。なんでゲームもやるんですけども、やっぱりゲーム以外のことをいっぱいやって、それ以外の要素をゲームに入れていくと、そういうことを若い人たちにはやってほしいです。だからゲーム業界も結構期間が経ちましたんで、暗黙の了解とか批判ができてるんですけども、それを打ち破ってほしいっていうのがあるので、なるべくゲームもやりながら他のことを吸収してもらって、他の体験をゲームにつないでもらうと。でそういうことをすればおそらく違うものができてくると思うので、それができるのはやっぱり若い人たちだけだと思うんだよね。ゲームだからこうっていうのじゃなくて、こういうゲームもあっていいし、誰もが使ってない要素をゲームに入れてみましたっていうのがあれば、より広いゲーム感というかゲームができるのかなと思います。
There aren't many creative game makers who've risen to the prominence and had staying power through the decades. And I don't believe there are other game makers of prominence who are married to each other. You can call Brenda and John Romero the ultimate power couple, but we prefer the phrase the ultimate creative couple. Now, tonight, we're thrilled and honored to have Jerry's son with us to accept our Legend Award. Anderson Lawson, your father did amazing, essential work that will be remembered forever. Congratulations on having such a brilliant father and for receiving our Andrew Yoon Legend Award on the 10th anniversary of the New York Game Awards.
Brenda Romero was essential to the Wizardry series, which were like landmark moments in software that influenced classics like Final Fantasy. The series also established, along with Richard Garriott's Ultima, the rules of role-playing. Literally, Brenda has done it all: writing, system design, game design, level design. She not only has graced the world of games with her intelligence, but also the world of education internationally, from UC Santa Cruz to the University of Limerick.
My father actually came up with the idea of a joystick for that console, and rather unique. It has 8 degrees of freedom, right? Up, down, north, south, east, west, twist to the right, and twist to the left.
John Romero co-created id Software. Najim and Scott Search were his first. Later, there was the great variety within Commander Keen, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, Hexen, and Quake. These are legendary franchises that will never be forgotten.
全くプログラムのこととかゲームの内容とか作り方とか、ツールのことも知らずに業界に入って、で最初に作ってそれはうまくいかなかった。当然ですね、容量の大きさとかも無視して作ってましたんで、それともう一個はやっぱりチームでゲームは作るので、いろんな人がいます。チームには、デザイナーとサウンドのアーティスト、プログラマーとか、いろんな特性があって、その人たちをいかに一つにまとめてゲーム作りするかっていうのを業界に入った時は知らなかったんで、それで勉強して、そのテクノロジーも勉強して、チームワーク作りも、切磋琢磨して結果的に作れたのが最初のタイトル、メタルギアになります。
As a little kid who came from a pretty poor background in Arizona as a Mexican and a Native American, which you don't find that many Native American game developers, I was super lucky to happen upon computers at the local university and to get excited about it when I was 11 years old, and to kind of be able to learn and not get kicked out.
Work hard, don't drink, don't do drugs, get some discipline, and it will pay off. It absolutely will. And if John, if I could come from where I came from, and if John could come from where he came from, and we're getting an award like this, that is fantastic, and it is a testament to the transformative power of games and the transformative power of code and creativity.
ニューヨークゲームアワード10周年と聞きました。10周年おめでとうございます。これからもですね、ゲーム業界を目指す、あるいはゲーム業界に憧れる若者たち、学生たちにサポートを 続けていければと思います。本日はどうもありがとうございました。
Okay, Reggie, we've been waiting all night, but now is the time. Do you know what time it is? Are you excited?
You know, Harold, I do know what time it is, and I'm excited because it's time for the Big Apple Award for Best Game of the Year.
Reggie, it's tradition for the newest members of the New York Videogame Critics Circle to present our Game of the Year award. So please welcome Lisa Marie Segura, recently from Digital Trends, and Seth Chazelle from Protocol and the New York Times.
As crazy as 2020 has been, it's been an amazing year for gaming and an even better decade.
Even in our most difficult moments, gaming has provided a sense of community, solace, and joy for millions of people around the world. At the same time, the industry continues to expand, not just financially, but also in exploring new vistas and creativity. On a personal note, it's an honor for us both to participate in the decade anniversary of these awards. I wrote about these awards 10 years ago, but only recently became a member. And it's great to help highlight the best in gaming.
These were some of the games that got us through the highs and lows of 2020. And the nominees for Best Game are
Animal Crossing: New Horizons,
The Last of Us Part 2,
Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Doom Eternal,
Yakuza Like a Dragon,
Hades. And the winner for the New York Game Awards Big Apple Award for Best Game is
Hades!
Thank you for selecting us as Game of the Year. It's an honor to be chosen. I think our core team is outnumbered by the Critics Circle, so our small team really appreciates receiving this. As a team, we just feel really fortunate to have been able to work on Hades, given everything that's happened this past year. And likewise, we wanted to express our gratitude to all the journalists who have been scrutinizing and analyzing and elevating games in a year where a lot of us were really relying on them. So thank you for the work you do. Thank you for the award. We really appreciate it.
What a great night. Congrats to all the excellent nominees, and congrats to the Circle for 10 years of giving back and 10 years of the New York Game Awards.
Reggie, as I said, I can't believe it's been a decade. It's been my complete honor to serve not only our membership, but also the students we mentor. And it's been an absolute pleasure to host the New York Game Awards with you.
You know, the same goes for me, Harold. You know, we were forced to pivot this year, but I think this broadcast serves as an exclamation point for the fine work of the Circle and its members these past 10 years. Congratulations.
Oh, Reggie, I almost forgot. We're not done yet. We have one more thing. It's an award for our audience to vote on. We've taken the games of the year from our last 10 years, and we want you to vote on the best at nygamecritics.com. They are (2012) The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim,
2013, The Walking Dead,
2014, The Last of Us,
2015, Wolfenstein: The New Order,
2016, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt,
2017, Uncharted 4,
2018, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild,
2019, God of War.
2020, The Outer Worlds.
And 2021, Hades. I can't wait to know who the big winner will be. Folks, remember to bid often on the Xbox Series X signed by Phil Spencer on eBay. And remember to click the link below to donate to the cause. Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Stay safe and healthy, folks, always. Good night.